Hey guys, Dr. Brandon Crawford here. I'm the founder of the Austin Center for Developing Minds. We are located just north of Austin, Texas in Cedar Park. And what we do is we focus on developmental functional neurology. Hopefully you'll have a chance to catch my lecture because I'm going to be taking you through what that process looks like and why it's so important to focus on rehabbing the brain in the right way, at the right time, with the right frequency and oscillations and all this kind of stuff, right? So I'm very honored to be a part of this conference. This conference is very meaningful. I love all the people involved, and obviously the cause is fantastic. So thank you again, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Due to advances in technology and bioscience, the most efficient ways emerging to treat pain and injury revolve around the nervous system. Using the human body's amazing ability called neuroplasticity, it is now possible to activate increased strength, pain-free movement, and faster healing. This is the Newbie device, a patented electrical stimulation device used for neuromuscular re-education. While conventional treatments for pain and injury only manage symptoms, the Newbie device allows you to work at the source of the problem. Using this approach, 90% of individuals notice meaningful progress in the very first session, and evidence is showing those early results also lead to faster overall recovery from most injuries and surgeries. There's finally help for people having difficulty recovering from injury, living with chronic pain, or experiencing challenging neurological conditions. Ask your doctor or therapist about the Newbie from NewFit, accessing the power of the nervous system to improve outcomes.
Okay. Thank you for being here. I'm Barbara Bush, the founder of Solutions for Special Needs Families. And it's my pleasure to talk to you about Supplemental Security Income, or SSI. Solutions for Special Needs Families guides parents and families through the maze of obtaining and understanding the complexities of SSI, SSDI, Medicaid, and Medicare. These programs are hard to understand. So what is supplemental security income? This is actually the definition from the Social Security Office. So what it is, it's a federal income for individuals who are over 65 or blind or disabled and have little or no income. The individual cannot have more than $1,061 a month in income. SSI provides income for food, clothing, and shelter. The maximum benefit from SSI is $783 a month. Social Security thinks that $783 will pay for food and clothing and shelter. We all know that we can live on this amount, right? Wrong. They also want to make it sound like it's very easy to apply and get benefits. It's actually much more complicated. So who is eligible for supplemental security income? So to be eligible, you must meet the Social Security's definition of disability. The disability must have occurred prior to age 22. You must meet the income and asset limits. You must be a U.S. citizen and a resident of the U.S. You must file for other benefits and not be able to earn a substantial gainful activity. This is a common term Social Security uses, meaning that you could not go out and earn $1,280 a month, which they consider a substantial gainful activity. There's a strict definition of disability that relates to your ability to perform work and the projected length of your disability. You must submit medical records, a psychological evaluation, school records, work history, household arrangements, and medicine taken to prove your disability is severe enough to keep you from working. So let's get a little deeper into the details of how Social Security defines disability. They take into account your medical records, psychological evaluations, and they also review school records, work history, household arrangements, any prescriptions taken. All of these documents are used to prove whether or not the disability is severe enough. We'll be talking about filing for disability, but before we do, let's talk about the age of the applicant. If filing for SSI prior to your child turning 18, the parent's income is considered the child's income. So unless the parents have less than $2,000 in assets and make a very, very low income, the child will not be eligible. There may be medical exceptions, but SSI rarely approves these applications. Once your child turns 18, they are now considered an adult, and only their income is taken into consideration. There are 3 ways to file for SSI. Sorry. You can create an online Social Security account. And when you do this, you have to consider you're doing this as the person. If you're not able to, you can file a paper application, which is Form SSA 8000. You also need to submit Social Security SSA Form 3368. With that, you submit the school records, the medical records, copy of insurance card, Social Security card, current psychological evaluation, and mail this to the Social Security office. So if you're going to create an online account, you go to www.ssa.gov. And on that page, you're going to be looking for My Social Security. You click on this, and this is where it'll start the application. So you sign in, you create an online, your username and password, and then you begin the process of creating the account. When creating the account, remember this is for your child, but you will be answering the questions as if you are the child. They ask very specific questions that only you will know, such as, where did you live in 2000? What was the color of your first car? Did you have a mortgage with Wells Fargo or Bank of America? These questions are tricky, and only you can have the answers to these, because they want to make sure it's really that person answering those questions, because they do know the answers. So when you apply for, if you've successfully created the online account, you will now choose Apply for Benefits. And when you do, you can go in and choose just to apply for SSI, disability, retirement, or Medicare benefits. But for our purposes today, we will be talking about SSI benefits. Once it's completed and submitted, an agent from Social Security will contact you to confirm the information and ask additional questions. One of the important parts of receiving SSI is that your child automatically receives Medicaid. Always remember, they cannot have over $2,000 in assets, even by a few cents, or they lose their eligibility. If your young adult is receiving any type of income, it will decrease the amount of the SSI benefit. And we'll talk about types of income later in the presentation. But as long as they receive $1 from SSI, they will always be eligible for Medicaid. So what happens once you're approved for SSI? Usually, Social Security will appoint a parent or a guardian as the representative payee. If your child cannot handle their financial affairs, meaning budgeting their money, paying bills, balancing a checkbook, then they will appoint you, the parent, as their representative to handle the money. Next, you'll set up a checking account titled Parent as the representative payee for the child to accept the SSI check. Know the rules regarding how money can be spent, and know the rules if the recipient works. So the representative payee and earned income, meaning they're working. You must report the recipient's gross earnings by the 10th of the following month to SSA. You also need to track the gross earnings and what happens if there is an overpayment. If you do not submit the gross monthly wages and the recipient is overpaid and loses benefits, the representative payee is personally liable to pay that amount back. If there is an overpayment, you can request Social Security take only 10% of the recipient's SSI benefits each month until the overpayment is paid back. Otherwise, if you don't ask, they will take the entire benefit away from your child, which will mean they don't have $1 coming from SSI and they will lose their Medicaid. So SSI puts income into one of two categories. Either you have unearned income, which could be, when I say Title II cash benefits, that would be their own Social Security disability from their work record, or RSDI from a parent when they retire. If they're getting VA benefits, any interest, allowance, assets or gifts, or winnings, these are all considered unearned income, but they do cause money to be taken away from the SSI benefit. Earned income is food and shelter in lieu of wages, and we're going to go into food and shelter. And wages are just that. When you work and you make money, the gross income is considered income. So this is a formula for how SSI reduces earned income. So we're going to pretend that the person made $585 in gross income this month. So SSI has an earned income exclusion, and so they do not consider or count the first $85. The remainder of that, you divide by 2, and so now the countable earned income is $250. And this will be subtracted from the SSI amount. So this is how SSI reduces unearned income. So we're going to say that they have unearned income for $220. There's a general income exclusion of $20, so only $200 is countable income. And this will be subtracted from the SSI benefit. SSI, reduction in-kind support. So what is in-kind support? That sounds strange. So when the recipient of an SSI benefit is not paying for their fair share for room and board, the SSI considers this income to the person where the individual lives. So they're living at home with mom and dad, and their benefit is $783. If they're not paying rent for food and housing expenses, that's considered in-kind support. And Social Security takes away $261 a month, leaving your adjusted SSI benefit at $522. So this is how SSI calculates using unearned and earned income. So at the top, we have the unearned income of $200 that we spoke of earlier. We have $585 of gross work income minus the $85 from the earned income exclusion and the general income exclusion. That amount is $500. You divide that amount by 2. Now you have countable earned income of $250. You have countable unearned income of $200. And we're assuming that your child is receiving the maximum federal benefit rate, which in 2020 is $783. So now they're not paying rent, so now they're going to subtract $261 from this amount. So you have an adjusted total countable income of $450, which will also be subtracted from that maximum federal benefit rate. So then your child will only receive $72 in adjusted SSI payment. But you have to take into consideration they're getting $72, but they've got $585 from work, and they have $200 from the unearned income. And the big thing is they keep their Medicaid. So this is the definition of what is in-kind support. So in this example, the person is living at home with mom and dad. The mortgage payment is $1,200 a month. The average monthly bills are $300 for electricity, $100 for water and sewer, and $800 for food. The total monthly expenses are $2,400 a month. Because there's 3 people living in the household, the individual fair share of the expenses is $800 a month, which if they're getting the full $783, they cannot pay this amount. So this is what the ABLE account helps with, is overcoming in-kind support. So your child will receive, after they receive the SSI payment into that checking account, the representative payee sends a check for $500 to the individual's parent for room and board. trustee of the special needs trust or the individual's parents contribute $300 on the first of each month to the ABLE account. The ABLE Trust Administrator withdraws $300 from the ABLE account as a qualified disability expense and sends a check or electronic funds transfer to mom and dad for rent. Now they've satisfied the $800 monthly rent. This is a diagram, since it is fairly complicated to understand that in words, how the money, and to the right at the bottom, to the left at the bottom, is your example, the rent is $800 a month. So your special needs child receives an SSI check of $783 in that special checking account. So family either sends money to the ABLE account or special needs trust sends money to the ABLE account. So from the ABLE account, the administrator withdraws $300 and sends it to the rent account. Additionally, the representative payee transfers $500 from the SSI checking account. I always recommend parents open up that separate checking account just for rent, because you're going to have to prove this to Social Security and provide them with a copy of that bank statement. If you don't do that and the money goes into your own personal checking account, you'll have to provide your personal checking account bank statement for at least 2 to 3 months to prove that this payment has been made. I just think it's cleaner and simpler to use a separate checking account to track these payments. So after the payments have occurred for at least 2 months, the representative payee will mail bank statements from the ABLE account and the SSI checking account to the local Social Security office. The current in-kind support and maintenance charge should be dismissed after 2 months later. The SSI recipient should receive the full payment of $783. Be sure the following is done. There must be 2 separate accounts, the ABLE account and the SSI payment account. The SSI payment cannot be put into the ABLE account. Get all documents date stamped and keep all copies forever. So what happens when a parent retires or passes away? So when the parent applies for their own Social Security retirement benefits, they must tell Social Security they have a disabled child. This will trigger your adult child to start receiving 50% of your retirement benefit. If the parent does not start taking Social Security until they are 70 years old, which is the maximum amount you can wait to draw your benefits, the child will only receive 50% of the full retirement benefit that the parent would have been entitled to at full retirement age, which could be 65, 66, or 67. The benefit from the parent's Social Security retirement is never decreased because their child is getting half. In 24 months after they begin receiving these Social Security benefits, they are eligible for Medicare on top of Medicaid. When a parent passes away, their child is entitled to 75% of the deceased parent's Social Security retirement for their life. What happens when a parent receives SSDI? So the parent is disabled and receiving their own SSDI. Then their child with a disability will receive 1/2 of the amount they are receiving. This begins when the child is diagnosed with a disability and may continue through the child's lifetime. Depending on the amount the child is receiving from RSDI, the child may also qualify for SSI and Medicaid. So what are the effects, though, of receiving this RSDI before receiving SSI? So if the RSDI benefit the child is receiving from the parent is more than $783, but no more than $1,061, the adult child may qualify for SSI and Medicaid. If the RSDI benefit is more than $1,061, it becomes very difficult for the adult child to qualify for SSI and Medicaid, as this is considered unearned income. So what happens to SSI and Medicaid when receiving RSDI or SSDI? So if the amount the person receives is more than $783, but less than the $1,061 a month from SSDI or RSDI, so they're receiving more than they're allowed, Medicaid may notify you that the person is receiving too much income and is no longer qualified for Medicaid. And you have a certain amount of time to file the H-1200 EZ form. You will then complete the form and submit it to Medicaid. Attach the disabled adult child provision to the application, which is on this next slide. But do not file this form unless you receive a notice from Medicaid that the benefit is being canceled. So it's Social Security regulations regarding a disabled adult child receiving payments from a parent. It is not in this, it's stating that they will not lose their eligibility for Medicaid as long as they were eligible for SSI and Medicaid prior to their parents' retirement. So this is they're considered a special group, and they're called a disabled adult child. How do you manage all of this? You're trying to keep up with your family, and you're trying to keep up with your own work and your own life. And do you feel like you're trying to keep all those plates spinning at once? That's normal, but it is manageable if you take one step at a time, and it's okay to ask for help. So if you're feeling overwhelmed navigating through the SSI application process, it's time to ask for help. You can reach out to disability benefits specialists or disability attorneys. They are out there to help you navigate this process. So, you can find help can be found through parents groups, disability organizations, friends, and word of mouth. So it's good to reach out and ask how other parents have gone through this and how they've done this. And always know if you've made a mistake and you've answered things incorrectly and you've been denied, that's the time to get help before you file an appeal. because you don't want to file the same information and get denied twice. So if this is a huge topic and more than can be covered in one presentation, I would be happy to talk with anybody who needs additional information or would like to learn more about the process. I'd also love to hear your questions and comments, which my email is there on the screen. My phone number is there. Feel free to call me at any time. And it's free of charge if we talk, exchange emails, because I want you to have the understanding and know what it is your options are. So I want you to have a great rest of your day, and thank you for letting me present this very complex topic. Thank you.